الشنطة. What are we going to discuss today? We are going to discuss demand and supply for labor. What are the factors? And remember, labor is like any other ممكن نقول ايه object that is demanded أو resource. خلينا نقول resource that is demanded and supplied. This is the supply of labor. يعني these are the people that are making themselves available for work. That's the demand for labor, and this is the businesses that would want to hire people to work for them. Here, this is the wage, and here, this is the quantity of labor. Okay, quantity of labor, or the number of workers that are willing and capable of working. هنا, this is the wage. Okay, the average wage for a certain profession in the market, and this is the quantity. يبقى هنا, this is wage 1, and this is quantity of labor supplied. حلو. What are the factors that will affect the supply of labor? What are the factors that will affect the demand for labor? When will businesses want to hire more people? Okay, فالديماند كيرف هيبقى كده. أو when will businesses want to hire less people? So the demand curve will like this. Or when will the supply of labor increase? Or when will the supply of labor decrease? Is that clear? This is what we will be discussing now. What are the factors that will determine whether demand for labor will increase, or the factors that will determine whether supply will increase. طبعا increase or decrease. تمام؟ But that's our topic today. يبقى هنا, there would be sometimes higher demand for labor. When do you think we will need more labor? If a business wants to employ more laborers, this is based on what? If the product is what? فين راحت؟ If the product is highly demanded يا شباب. يبقى if the product is highly demanded, then the laborers producing that product will be what? Will be again in high demand. فين It's supposed to be page 18 مش كده؟ Yeah, we are supposed to be doing page 18. طيب. يبقى احنا we will demand more of laborers when the product that they are producing is in high demand. طيب, what else when the product is in high demand, and when else will we produce a product? Will we need laborers? يبقى هنا an increase, مثلا for example, an increase in the demand for cars will increase the demand for engineers that will be producing that car. اتفقنا المرة اللي فاتت إنه demand is a derived demand. Demand for labor is a derived demand. When laborers are productive, the more productive the laborer is, then they lower the cost of production for the business. So the business would want to employ more people to produce a greater output with a lower cost. يبقى هنا they want more workers because they are productive. فهنا productive meaning there will be a lower average cost. When there is a rise of capital, احنا اتفقنا انه capital is a substitute of labor. يعني ايه؟ يعني I can be using laborers to produce manual, and a manual product. If I am producing carpets, I am producing carpets or rugs. I can be producing them using machines, automation, and I can be producing them using handmade. فهنا the point is that انه the more expensive the capital is, the more expensive the machines are, then in this situation, the producers, they don't want to get machines, they will be getting laborers instead. But they will switch to become labor intensive in case that the machines are becoming more expensive. The demand for labor will increase. Clear? Other factors that will affect the equilibrium wage for labor, equilibrium wage and quantity for labor is changes in supply. But اتفقنا changes in demand for labor يعني shift of the curve. This is the demand curve for labor. فهنا the producers, they want to increase their demand, and they want to hire more laborers. This is because اتفقنا انه laborers are becoming more productive. This is because capital is becoming more expensive, and this is because the product that is produced by that kind of laborer is in high demand. So I want that laborer to produce the product. What about the changes in supply of labor? What will cause a change in the supply of labor? يعني the producers, when will they the workers, when will they want to work more or want to work less? فهنا there is a fall in the labor force. This will make it difficult for individual businesses to recruit workers. يعني there is a fall in the labor force. The size of the labor force in the country is reduced. Could be for any reason. Workers are leaving the country to immigrate in another country. Workers are becoming old age, so they are incapable of working. Workers, they are doing voluntary unemployment. فهنا there is a reduction in the labor force. Accordingly, Accordingly, the supply for labor will shift backwards, will shift to the left. The supply is decreasing if the number of laborers in the country are getting less. A rise in the qualification or length of training required. If people are required to study for a long period of time, as mentioned before, and in order for you to become a doctor, a trainee doctor, you will have to spend 7 years of studying in the uni. So in order to get a degree in medicine, you will have to spend like 7 years studying medicine. فهنا in this situation, this is a high length of qualification. For you to be a qualified doctor, this takes a long period of time. That makes the supply of doctors مثلا reduced. There is going to be a reduced supply of doctors. أو a reduction in wages or non-wage benefits of a job. I find that wages are getting very low أنا كworker, so I don't want to provide my services for businesses to benefit from. يبقى reduction in the wages. انه هلاقي نفسي ان it's not worthwhile ان انا to become a worker. I would rather stay home and get unemployment benefits. Now, if I am staying home in European countries and in the United States and all, I will get unemployment benefits. Then better stay home, get unemployment benefits because the wages are low or are almost same, a little bit higher than the unemployment benefit. Then I will stay home rather than work and get the unemployment benefits. أو non-wage benefits. كنت باخد fringe benefits like ممكن non-wage benefits like a company car that is not given, accommodation not given, things of the like. How the work is not interesting, could be it's a non-wage factor as well. the work is becoming more boring, more monotonous, and so on. Or a wage rise or non-wage benefit in another job. And let's imagine that you graduated from business, school of business. You have two options, either to work in a bank or to work as a business teacher. Okay, so you decided to work as a teacher لأنه this was more beneficial, financially rewarding than a banker. يبقى you worked as a teacher because it's more beneficial, and that was in the beginning of your career. طب later on what happened? Later on the bankers started to get bankers' wages started to increase in the economy. Okay, their salary started to increase, and their benefits, benefits for the bankers, like getting company car, getting medical insurance, and so on, started to increase for that sector. Okay, يبقى هنا the benefits, the wages for the banking sector started to improve. You are working now as a teacher, so you stay in the teaching profession, or you would resign from the teaching profession and go and work as a banker. What would you do if you in that situation? هتعمل ايه? This is the question for you يا شباب. هتعملوا ايه?
Can you repeat the question again, miss? I didn't quite get it.
You have the degree that can qualify you to work as a banker or to work as a teacher, يا عمر.
Yes.
Okay. You worked as a teacher because the benefits and the wages for a teacher were high at the beginning. By time,
miss.
year after year, the banker sector, they had improvement in their wages and they have improvement in their benefits. So the salary now of the banker is twice as much of a teacher. The fringe benefits like medical insurance, like company car and things of the like are getting more for the banker than the teacher. Now you stay as a teacher, or what would you do?
Well, I don't have the degree for the banker, so I'll just stay as a teacher.
No, I said at the beginning you have the degree.
Oh, I have both.
You are qualified. You graduated from the business uni, from the business school. So business school can do both. But you decided to be a teacher for the benefits. Minna, give me a decision. What about the others?
I'll become a vendor, miss.
A vendor?
Yeah,
In a bank? What is
yeah,
a
sure.
bank? Okay. طيب Minna كمان she will become a banker. Amar will become a banker. The rest will become bankers while I will stay as teachers. I guess majority would say what?
Banker.
Bankers. So what will happen to the supply for teachers?
decrease.
ما هو ده الفكرة. يبقى rise in the يبقى this is the point. A rise in the wage or non-wage benefit in other jobs. This will encourage some workers to switch from one occupation to the other, provided that they are occupationally mobile. ما بنتكلمش على people that are not occupationally mobile، بنتكلم على people that are occupationally mobile. يعني they are capable of doing the other work, the other profession. Capable of carrying out the other function. خلاص, then the supply of labor will be like that. It will get reduced. If the supply is reduced, then the wages will have to increase. Changes in the production stage. يبقى changes in the production stage, and people working in the primary sector, they are usually less paid than those who are working in the secondary sector and tertiary sector. The least paid are the ones in the primary sector. Comes what? Comes the ones in the secondary sector afterwards, comes afterwards the tertiary sector. They have, لأنه كمان the ones in the primary sector, they have the fewest qualification. If you become a fisherman, you don't have to be very highly qualified. If you become a farmer, you don't have to be highly qualified. Actually, they don't have degrees. These people, these professions, the people working in them, they don't have a high degree. They may even not be able to read and write. فهنا they are not highly qualified. Then they are the least paid. So they do have fewer qualifications. Accordingly, their supply will be high. And a supply for them will be high. Like in supply of the ones in the tertiary sector would be what? Would be low. Why? And supply tertiary, who are the people working in the tertiary sector? It is the doctors, the nurses, the bankers, the teachers, they are giving services. Some of them were lawyers, some of them will have high degree, should be highly qualified, and they will spend long time in studying and being qualified for that. For their supply will be less. Then they are not available. People are not available. They are at work. They are learning. They are being trained. فهنا less people will be supplied, at least on the short term. As the economy develops, if we are a developing country, primary sector is the most important, and the secondary sector is is more important. Like as the economy develops, the tertiary becomes the most important. So accordingly, the demand, when the economy develops, the demand for the primary sector declines. Primary sector workers decline. ممكن نقول demand for the primary sector products كمان declines, accordingly demand for the workers will decline. And demand for secondary and tertiary sector will increase for the products or services, accordingly demand for the people that are employed in that sector would increase. But the economy is developing, يعني معناها they are having more factories, they are having more services, but they would want to employ more people that are working in these professions. معايا ولا أي كلام؟ Is that clear ولا you don't get it? Okay. عمر يعادل, is that clear?
Yes, miss.
Demand for a number of services rises with income, okay, and high qualifications needed to carry out a number of jobs in the tertiary sector, which makes the jobs like judges and surgeons very well paid. Demand for a number of services rise. What kind of services would rise? And people, if you are having a higher income, you are expecting a better quality education, better quality healthcare, better quality. ممكن كمان you are more of leisure services. Leisure services like what? Hotel and tourism, for example, restaurants, حاجات of the like. And as well, demand for services like banking. People are having higher income, so they would want to save their money in banks, for example. But there will be a higher demand for people that are working in the tertiary sector in any بقى, يعني يكونوا like jobs, like judges, like surgeons, like teachers, like accountants. Demand for them will increase as the living standard in the country is increasing. And changes in the bargaining power. If there is a change in the bargaining power of the trade union, you are a unionized member, and there is a changing in the bargaining power. And sometimes the trade union becomes less popular, less wanted, less عايزة أقول إيه less powerful. جات الكلمة. If the trade union is becoming less powerful, يعني they are in a weak position, they cannot ask for higher wages. They are in a weak position, they cannot ask, no one will listen to them. They can ask, but actually no one will listen to them. The government will not listen to them, and the employers will not listen to them for certain reasons that we'll discuss in the coming chapter. Okay, for sometimes the trade union power could increase. Okay, and sometimes the trade union power is decreasing. Their power and authority is increasing, okay, or or people are not willing to do industrial action sometimes, and if the trade union does not If the trade union does not reach a solution مع الemployer, they will be doing strike action, industrial action. Striking يعني they will stop working. And this will affect the business. فهنا if they don't want to do industrial action, if their power is weak, okay, then in this situation, there will be, then the wages would decrease. Then the wages would decrease. خلاص؟ يبقى if the government, for example, if the government ban an agricultural worker forming a trade union, this is by the government. Why the trade union is becoming weaker? It's the government will say that you are not allowed to do a trade union. So accordingly, what? Accordingly, the wage rate of these people will be falling. If there are changes in the government policy, the pay for public sector workers will rise. How it rises? If the public sector is expanding, and the opposite is true. يعني if the public sector is expanding, يعني for example, the public sector is providing more healthcare. هم عندهم public hospitals. But if they are if they are opening more hospitals, if they are improving the defense, improving the police, they are expanding their services or they are improving their services. In this situation, there will be more demand on the workers that will working in these sectors. But the government is opening more universities. Let's imagine more universities. What will happen to the demand for lecturers in a university? A greater demand for universities, then what will happen to the demand on the lecturer in a university? Increase or decrease? Doctors, teachers in a university, demand for them will increase or decrease if the government is expanding the public sector education. مين ده بس اللي بتجاوب عليا؟ الباقي فين؟ الباقي انتوا معايا ومتابعين سامعيني؟ بقول the government is opening more unis, more universities.
ماشي, it will depend.
Hmm?
It will depend since يعني some people would rather go to a private university, but يعني if we're talking literally, it will increase the demand of people going to uni. Like
أنا
people,
ما بتكلمش على demand on people going to the
not
university
the
يا عمر.
demand, no, it's
بتكلم
not
على
demand.
demand on professors.
Yeah, professors, yeah, I got confused. Yeah, like, so the more university they open, the more professors they will need, so demand for professors will increase.
طيب استني أنا الكلمتين دول يا عمر.
My badness.
Clear يا شباب؟ So changes in government policy, and the opposite is true. What if the government is reducing the size of their businesses? فكمان there will be lower demand on that kind of service. طيب how can the government change a wage rate؟ يعني دايما هيجي لي سؤال في الإكزام إنه how can the government influence wage rates in the country؟ يبقى how does the government influence wage rate in the country? How does the government say that or enforce that a worker will not take less than a certain amount of money? That a worker is going to have enough to afford his living. They can do that, and the government can influence the wages in the country by raising the legal minimum wage, by setting a legal minimum wage. But the government can influence wages, can affect, another word for influence, affect, can determine wages by having a legal minimum wage, passing a law related to the legal minimum wage, increasing it, for example. This is one thing. Another thing is that I can influence your wage and make you earn more money if I am enforcing education, improving education. يبقى أنا هخلي school leaving age, for example, after 18. You have to stay at school until you are 18. فهنا I am improving your education each year of extra education will mean more money that you will be earning. فهنا improving education. improving education بس كده like 18 years لا. providing education for business people, providing education for medicine staff, providing education for engineers, better education for these. فهنا better education will make the people more highly qualified and more productive. Accordingly, the demand on their services will increase, so they will be earning high wages. Okay, تاني, if you are educated, then you would be highly qualified. If you are qualified, then this means that you are productive. I am having qualifications, then I will be doing less mistakes. I will be increasing the output. I will be producing a greater output. Now, the business would want to employ more of these workers that are increasing the output and reducing their cost, while would want to employ less of them. A business wants to employ more of the productive worker, while of the less productive one. يا عمر يا وليد, عندك رأي؟ The workers are highly productive, so the business wants to employ more of them or less of them? More of them. Then in this situation, if demand for labor is increased, if the business is wanting to employ more of the productive employees, why am I employing the productive employees? Because that productive employee will reduce my cost. He is a productive employee, so will allow me to have a reduced cost. So demand on that worker will increase. What will happen to their wages then?
Increase.
Okay, that's the point. But the government can determine wages by doing what? By setting illegal minimum wage, by improving education. When they improve education, they will make the worker more qualified and more skilled. Then he will be more productive, which will reduce the cost of the business. The business would want to employ more of him, and demand on the worker will increase, and thus he will be earning a greater wage. Okay. Government policies on immigration may make it easier for foreign people to live and work in the country. If more foreign people will live and work in the country, this means more supply of labor or less supply of labor. I will be having more workers available in the country to work or less workers available to work. The United States, Canada, and these countries, they are opening the doors for immigrants. But these people coming from Egypt and working and living in Canada, working and more workers will be available. If the government is allowing immigration, allowing people from foreigners to come and live and take the nationality of that country, they come, live, and work actually. So there will be more supply of labor. If there is a high supply of labor, which wages will increase or decrease? Here again, more supply of labor, then the wage will increase or decrease? Ryan, we are having a lot of doctors in the country, so their wages will be high or low?
Low.
ده سؤال ولا إجابة؟ Are you sure of yourself?
Miss, could you repeat the question?
If there is a high supply of labor, a lot of doctors in the country, so the wages of the doctors will be high or low? Something that is widely available. It is available. So the price of that thing will be high or low?
Low.
Low, right. The wages will be low, yeah, Ryan. supply of labor is high, then the wages will be low. طب when will the supply be high? If the government is allowing immigrants, a lot of people coming to live in the country, and they will be living and working as well. So that will hold down the wages from and will keep them from rising. Again, if the government is introducing anti-discrimination laws, okay, this will help increase the career prospects and wages and of disadvantaged group. هنا anti-discrimination law means that these people that used to earn less than the others, than their counterparts from other ethnic groups, يعني let's say anti-discrimination against the African American, not because you are having a certain skin color, you shouldn't, I mean, you shouldn't be discriminated against because you're having a different skin color. فهنا they used to be discriminated against. For government now, if it passes or it is passing anti-discriminative law, this will allow these workers to have increased wages, because before they were taking unfair wage, now they will be taking fairer wages, which are higher wages. This can be done by changing public opinion. Okay, for example, public opinion towards the attitude of work of women, as attitude of work of the African Americans, and so on. The public can pressurize the government to pass these laws, and the public can pressurize the employers to give them fair wages, just like the others. Advances in technology can change wage rates. طب تفتكروا if technology is becoming more advanced, يعني more productive, it will be more productive. So now what will happen to the wages? هنا more productivity يعني lower average cost. يعني if I am using the machine is working 24/7, it does less mistakes, and accordingly average cost will be reduced and profit margins will be increased. Now I would want to employ machines to produce the product, while I would want to employ laborers if I know that there is advancement. Alhamdulillah. If I know that there is advancement in machines and it will allow my business to become productive, I will employ machines while labor. Do businesses want to employ robotics, while they want to employ laborers instead of labor, robots instead of labor? If you start a business, يا عمر يا وليد, would you want to employ robots that can work 24/7 and allow you to have a lower average cost, or human beings that are slower than robots and maybe doing mistakes, so your average cost may be higher? Which one you will be employing, يا عمر يا وليد? He left.
Robots, miss.
Robots, miss. So what will happen to the wages of people?
It will decrease.
Right, you are. Right, you are. يبقى هنا in this situation, the business would want advancement in technology, would make it more rewarding for the business to employ the
Can you hear me,
technology. Technology will allow a lower average cost. Am I lagging, or you are lagging? Whose computer is lagging? Whose connection is lagging? Now, do you think?
Miss, it's you. You're the one
It's you,
lagging.
miss. Your voice just keeps cutting.
Throughout the session? طب وانتوا ما بتتكلموش ليه؟ لازم انا اكتشف واقول لكم؟
No, not throughout the session. Like just started like now when I answered, when you were replying, I couldn't hear what you said. It kept cutting.
طيب ودلوقتي it's still?
No. Now it's okay.
Okay. So I guess you understood what I wanted to say. What did I want to say? And I wanted to say that if robotics are more productive, then the business will be more profitable if they are employing the robots. Then in this situation, demand for labor will decrease لأنه خلاص إنه labor is a substitute for technology. يبقى it's either to produce using technology or either to produce using robots. فrobots are substitute to technology. This substitute is becoming more productive. فهنا in this situation, people businesses will not want to employ laborers. Demand for labor will decrease, and accordingly, their wages would decrease. Right. Changes in public opinion. Now, I'm having a lot of things popping up in my computer. Anyway, changes in public opinion. Over time, how occupations and those who undertook them are viewed can change, and the view towards people's jobs can change. يعني at a point in time, journalists were taking very high wages. It was a very well-paid position. And then over the years, annual wage of the journalists declined. Okay, in comparison to other occupation. Okay, or the pay and job opportunities for women is increasing in Saudi Arabia, where social attitudes about women working are changing. But now public opinion, I'm talking about public opinion. كان زمان it was not accepted at all in women to work in Saudi Arabia, not accepted. Over the years, it became more accepted. People had a social attitude toward the work of the woman changed. Okay, before a woman working, this means she's a low class, she's not coming from a high family, she's ما حدش بيقول بقى هي she's educated and she's independent. Now she الفيو بتكون educated and independent. Educated and independent. This is they look at her and they are proud of her accomplishment. Earlier, it was not the same. It was she is working because she's very poor. She cannot afford her living. She doesn't have a family to support her. And she's not accepted in the workplace. خلاص, not welcomed in the workplace. Now it's changing. When a public opinion can change accordingly, not welcomed in the workplace, which means that she can barely get a job, and if she gets the job, she will be very low paid. Nowadays, it's different. Accordingly, and there is high demand for the work of women. Accordingly, they are earning higher wages. Okay. طيب. Another thing is that certain professions in the past were very, very well reputable and highly paid. Journalism was one of them. Nowadays, it's a normal job, and with normal pay. In a public opinion, they viewed the journalists of less important jobs now. يعني who's getting paid more, a journalist or an IT technologist, an IT engineer, computer science engineer? حاجة of like computer science engineer is regarded highly by the public opinion. طيب. هنا اتفقنا إنه changes in earnings of individuals over time. And only if you are at the beginning of your career, you're starting your career, your wage will not be high enough. Your earnings will change over the time. You're a recent graduate, then you will earn less. The more you develop, the more you get experience, then you are getting a higher paid. The earnings of people increase as they get older due to their skills. The more you are developing your skills, this means that time is passing. This means that you are becoming older. You are building the skills over the time, and due to that, you will be having increased productivity. So you will be giving a greater input to the business, and thus you will be earning a greater amount of money. You're not skilled at the beginning, so you earn less. Throughout the years, you are developing your skills, you will become more productive, you're giving a greater input to the company, and thus you will be getting a higher pay. the salaries of your parents nowadays is different than the salaries of your parents 5 years back or 10 years back. Why it's different? Because now they are in middle age and they are in mid their career. فهم in the middle of their career. Okay, if they are middle age and they are in the middle of the career, طبعا they are earning more than people who are just that are recent graduates. But they develop by years, and actually when you graduate, you're still a holder of a BA, bachelor degree, bachelor of arts or BS يعني bachelor of arts of science or of science. When you graduate later on, you may be developing more knowledge by doing your master's degree. Okay, by earning a master's degree, you are developing more knowledge, so you'll become more productive. When you become more productive, you will be earning more. Again, what will influence the wages that people are earning? You may be switching the employer. I know you've been working with an employer for 3 years. He's not giving you a higher pay, and he's not promoting you, and he's not giving you a higher pay. Simply, you will resign in order to get higher pay elsewhere. You're working in business A. In business A for 3 years, they did not promote you for 3 years, they did not give you higher wages, then you will switch to work in another business that gives you a better wage. You are getting better wage, better position, better responsibilities, and so on, better title, and so on. Earnings may fall with the passage of time. When people get older, when you get older, your earning may fall actually. Okay, and thus especially when you retire, people who are retiring, their pension will be way less than when they were younger. When they were younger, they were capable to work overtime, their incomes were higher, لكن the pension given to them is not as high as the salary. Some people may become older and they can give up working overtime. يبقى you are older, you are incapable of working overtime. Earlier you were capable. When you are incapable of working overtime, what will happen? Your earnings will be less. And some people may, because they are becoming older as well, they switch to less demanding work. يعني earlier you were working مثلا as a sales manager. Sales manager, this is a stressful business, as a stressful position, because you are continuously under the stress of whether you are achieving the target or not. You have to achieve the target of the business in order to keep your position. You are responsible for the business earnings. فهنا this is very stressful, people will switch to work in another profession. فهنا they may be losing مثلا commission اللي كانوا بياخدوه. Sales people, they earn commission, which is a percentage of money out of the sales revenue the business is earning. يعني the business is earning 1 million as a result of selling a house. A commission of a salesperson from that transaction ممكن تكون 100,000. 10% of the price of the house will be given as a commission to the sales representative. طب خلاص, I stopped working as a sales representative, then this extra amount of pay will not be given to me, so my wage will decrease. يبقى over time, people are becoming older, they don't work overtime, or people are becoming older, they want to carry on tasks that are less challenging, less demanding, accordingly they will accept to get paid less. Or maybe or you will lose your earnings altogether because your business is bankrupting, or you will be earning less wage because you retired. You will have lower earnings because you retired. Only pension is not the same like what? It's not the same like your earnings. Your earning when you are an employee. Right. To the extent to which your earning change. هنا the magnitude of the change of the wage يبقى your wage will change depending on what? Depending on the changes in demand and the changes in supply. There is a change in demand, but what is the magnitude of that change? Is it a big difference? Is it a small difference? Like demand is changing like that. فالديماند شايفين هنا that was the old equilibrium. This is the demand is a switch. There is a higher demand for labor due to them becoming more productive. Let's imagine demand for labor is increased due to them becoming more productive. فtheir wages will be P2. فهنا it is increasing by that much. دوت لو كان magnitude of the demand is like this. ما هو demand could be مش D2 demand D2 could be here. فاهمين قصدي ايه؟ يعني what will determine if I am getting that very high wage W3 or I will get that relatively low wage W2 or W1. هنا this is the original demand. If demand is switching by a small amount, then the wages will increase by a small amount. If the demand is switching by a very great amount, then demand will then wages will increase significantly. فهمتوا حاجة؟ And it could be this ممكن يكون ال demand is changing هنا slightly. فالwage increase will not be that much. Is that clear? يبقى the wage change, if my wage is by how much is my wage increasing, it will depend on the magnitude of the change in demand or the change in supply. اللي هو ال amount, the actual amount of the change of demand and supply. Is the change a big one or the change is a small one? Is this point clear? Yes. يبقى if demand is high, very high, then the wages would be increasing highly. If demand is very low, wages will be decreasing. Again, supply is the same. If the supply is decreasing by that much, that will be different than if its supply is decreasing by that much. هنا this is the original situation, demand and supply. The new situation could be that one where the wages would be that much, or it would be like this one, or the wages are very high, depending on how supply is decreased. Maybe supply is decreasing by that much because a lot of people left the country to immigrate to other countries. They are immigrating. فهنا supply في labor بتاعي is becoming very low as a lot of them are leaving our country to go and work in other countries. فالwages of those who stay will be very high and the supply is very low. We cannot, businesses, they want to hire people and they cannot find people to hire. Then the businesses will have to offer very high wages in order to attract the qualified employees to work for them. I hope this is clear. طيب يبقى the wage change will depend on the magnitude of the change. Okay, and it is supplied also by the elasticity of demand and elasticity of supply. Okay, يعني if the change is the same but the demand is elastic, will be different than if the demand is inelastic. Clear? يبقى هنا what do you see? I see here that the demand is inelastic. The demand is a steep curve. Demand is a steep curve. It is inelastic. وهنا demand is an elastic curve. ال magnitude is the same. ال distance D is the same. صح ولا غلط? Distance between D1 and D2 is almost the same. Do you see this with me? You can see this? The distance between the two demand curves is the same. طيب, okay, but people here, after a change in demand, the wages increased significantly, increased from P1 to P2, and this is the size of the increase. هنا, though the change in demand is the same, but the size of the increase in the wages is not that high. Why is it so? Why is it so the size of the change is not high? هنا because هنا عندي elastic demand, هنا عندي inelastic demand. يبقى curve هنا is steep, inelastic demand. فهنا when demand switched, when demand increased, okay, then the wages increased. يعني هنا when demand increased by a percentage, the wages increased by a greater percentage. هنا when demand increased by a percentage, demand increased, wages increased by a smaller percentage. هنا عندي elastic demand, هنا inelastic demand. Okay? Whether the wages will be increasing قوي ولا increasing slightly, this is depending على elasticity of demand. If inelastic demand, then the wages will have to increase significantly in order to cause demand to increase. هنا elastic demand, the wages will increase slightly in order to cause demand to increase. هنا الwage increase, percentage of wage increase is greater than the percentage increase in supply of labor. هنا in demand of labor, sorry. In demand of labor. يبقى الwage increase is greater than the percentage increase in demand for labor. وهنا percentage increase in wage is smaller than the demand for labor. يبقى slight increase in wage will lead to slight increase in wages. Slight increase in wages will mean that the demand for labor will be increasing by a greater percentage. Quantity demanded will increase by a greater percentage than here. يبقى it's elastic demand. What will determine the elasticity of demand? مين اللي قال ان انا يبقى عندي elastic or inelastic demand for labor؟ يبقى labor will have inelastic demand if the portion of the labor cost, the percentage of the total cost is insignificant. Okay, أنا عندي the product is costing $100. The full cost of the product is $100. Out of the $100, the cost of labor is only $5. For each product that I am, هنا the cost. For each product that costs me 100 to produce, the cost of labor is only 5. So let's imagine if the price of labor is 5, then it became 10. فهنا this is an insignificant change in relation. This is only 10% of the total cost. It's relatively insignificant. I have other things that are more expensive, like the raw materials are more expensive, the machines are more expensive, and so on. فهنا if the portion of the cost of labor is insignificant out of the total cost of producing the product, then the demand for labor will be inelastic. It is okay if the laborers are doubling their prices, their wages, I will still employ them because they are contributing a small percentage of the cost. They're not contributing much of the cost. فعادي مش ده اللي هيغلي لي الكوست بتاع البرودكت قوي. Is this clear؟ يبقى what will determine the elasticity of demand؟ يبقى the demand for labor. احنا بنقول demand for labor will not decrease much if the labor cost is a small insignificant part of the production process. If labor cost from a large portion of the total cost, if it's a large portion of the total cost, a change in wage would have significant impact on the cost and hence could be elastic. And the opposite is true. And the opposite is true. If the wages is forming an insignificant portion of the not important portion of the total cost, a change in wage would have insignificant impact on cost. Change in wage increasing will have insignificant, مش هيكون مهم، مش هيأثر قوي على change in cost, and hence the demand for labor would be inelastic instead. Clear؟ مين مش فاهم point دي؟ Omar Walid, do you understand? Omar Adil, do you understand it? Ryan, is it clear?
Yes, miss, I understand.
Ryan,
Yes.
من يبقى لما يكون الكوست is tolerable. is doable by the business, is not a big percentage of their total cost. فخلاص حتى لو the wage of the laborer increase, they will still earn the wage that they are asking for, no problem. Demand will not change for labor if it changed much if the wages are increasing. The ease with which labor can be substituted with the capital. If I cannot replace workers with capital, then in this situation, my demand for labor will be inelastic. Even if they are asking for very high wages, still I will get them. If the demand is, if you cannot change labor with capital, you cannot substitute. يعني for example, the product that you are producing has got to be handmade. The product that you are producing has got to be made to fit to match the requirements of each and every individual. فهنا individual based products, then in this situation, it cannot be produced using mass production. It has got to be produced using labor. Okay, and in this situation, my demand on labor will be inelastic. I cannot substitute them with machines, so they will continue to take high wages. If there is an elastic demand on the product produced by that laborer, then there will be elastic demand on the laborer himself. يعني if I am producing chocolates, okay, demand for chocolate is elastic demand. Elastic demand. But demand for chocolate is why? Because the chocolate is having a lot of substitutes, and the chocolate is a non-essential product. فهنا if its price increased by 10%, demand will fall by a greater percentage. Let's imagine 20%. يبقى هنا price of chocolate increased by 10%, demand decreases by 20%. يبقى هنا in this situation, what will happen to the demand for laborer? Demand for laborer, for the chocolate manufacturer, for laborer, worker in the chocolate factory will be elastic as well. Will be elastic as well. Okay, يبقى demand, if the demand is elastic for the product, then demand for labor will be elastic. A cost of labor increases, then the demand for that labor will decrease significantly. But what if I am selling an inelastic product? This is medicine. Medicine has no substitutes. Even if the price of medicine doubled, demand will fall by a smaller percentage, يعني it will fall by 2%. Price of the product, price of the medicine doubled. Demand for the medicine will decrease by 2%. The demand increased by 100%. Price increased by 100%. Demand falls by only 2%. So in this situation, the business will become profitable. Accordingly, they will be having inelastic demand على laborer producing that medicine. يبقى my people will be willing to buy the product even if it's very expensive. يبقى I will be willing to hire the laborer producing that product that is wanted by people even if they ask for a higher wage. Is this point clear? فاهميني? I'm producing medicine, even if the price of the medicine is increasing, people will not change their demand for medicine much. They will keep on buying it. Even if my cost of production to produce the medicine is increased, the cost of labor is increased, I will still get the worker to produce the medicine. Because I can easily increase the price for consumers and they will still buy. فاهميني ولا بكلم Chinese blah blah blah?
to stop us.
The more elastic demand for the product, the greater the fall in demand for it, and hence workers making them for demand for them will be elastic. If I am having a product that is having an elastic demand, then elastic demand for its labor as well. يبقى demand for the labor is elastic as well. Okay? Time period. Demand for labor is more elastic on the long run. Demand for labor is more elastic on the long run. لأنه if let's imagine that I have increased demand on my product now. Suddenly people are switching, all of them, they want hybrid cars. I am a producer of hybrid cars, a lot of demand for hybrid cars now. So even if the workers are asking for a higher pay, I will still give them the higher pay. Why? Because in the short run, I cannot replace the workers with machines. But in the long run, I will have my business. They are facing increased cost of labor. I will still keep the laborers. I will not, in the short run, I will not be able to replace them with any other resource. عشان I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to go and research what are the alternatives for labor. Like on the long run, I would have surveyed the market, find out which machines to use in order to substitute for labor or replace the labor, and I will be doing it. So in the long run, I am obliged to keep on, in the short run, I'm obliged to keep on using the same laborer. I don't have, even if they're asking for a very high pay. Like on the long run, I would have thought about alternatives and my demand on labor would be more elastic. Clear this point?
Yes, Miss, it's clear.
طيب, what are the main determinants of supply of labor؟ يبقى أنا كنا بنتكلم على demand, كنا بنتكلم على producers. Producers, they want workers because of the above factors. Now, أنا كworker, when will I have elastic supply, be able to supply more of my services, or I will supply less of my service? I will supply more of my services if the qualifications and skills required are few. It doesn't, for example, anyone can work as a cleaner. فهنا there will be high elasticity of supply for cleaners. لكن not anyone can work as a doctor. A doctor will require more qualifications, will require more years of training, will require إن هو يبقى certified. Accordingly, his supply will be inelastic. The number of workers available in the short run cannot increase by much. لأنه it will take time for them to get qualified. يبقى number of laborers can increase on the long run, لكن on the short run it cannot. يبقى supply of labor will be inelastic for certain professions عشان if they are more qualified, like doctors, lawyers, and so on, they study for a long time. It will take years to gain the required qualifications. So in the short run, even if the laborer are getting very high pay, fee wages that are very high, supply of labor will be limited in the short run. Why limited in the short run? Because there aren't enough people who are qualified to match that high wage and to match that qualified job, highly qualified job. Okay? The length of training, if it takes time for people to get trained, فهنا in this situation, again, the supply of them will be inelastic. It takes time for a lawyer to get trained. It might take him 3 years of doing apprenticeship, 4 years of doing an apprenticeship. فهنا in this situation, this means that in the short run, the supply for that kind of laborer that requires a long training period, like a doctor or lawyer, هيبقى supply is inelastic. Whereas on the short run, inelastic, on the long run, هيبقى more elastic. If I am having employment, fully employed, the economy is having full employment. يبقى if there is full employment or high employment in the country, the businesses, they want to expand and hire more people, هنجيب منين? All the workers that are available are employed. Then supply هنا will be inelastic. Okay, at least on the short run as well. And on the long run, maybe the government will allow more immigrants to enter the country and there will be a greater supply of labor. Clear? يبقى هنا the employer will need to increase wages significantly in order for people to switch from one job to another. يبقى هنا there will be, I need to increase wages by a greater percentage than increase wages by a greater percentage than the increase in supply. Then the percentage increase in supply. Why is it so? I have to offer very high wages in order to have supply of labor increasing significantly in order to be able to hire a couple of workers more. لأنه there is high employment in the country. All those people who are willing and capable of getting a job, they are already employed. The mobility of laborers. If laborers are geographically mobile and occupationally mobile, then they will have elastic supply. It will be easy for them to move from one area to another, so they can increase supply with an increase in wage. If wages are rising in Alexandria, let's imagine, and workers are geographically mobile, then a lot of people from all over the country will go and work in Alexandria. فهنا supply is elastic. And the opposite is true. If the supply is inelastic, the employers in Alex will have to offer very high wages in order to have people coming, to attract people from other countries. The supply is inelastic. People are not willing to move geographically in order to get another job because of geographical immobility. The degree of vocation is another factor. The stronger the attachment of workers to their job, they have more inelastic. They tend to be, if they are highly specialized, if you are a highly specialized person, then you will be having inelastic supply. You cannot supply your services to work in another profession. In the short run, supply for labor will be limited. Okay, so in the short run, supply tends to be elastic. Like on the long run, supply tends to be elastic. يبقى if wages are increasing in the short run, not a lot of people will be willing to work, there won't be a lot of people going to get that job. Why? ممكن because they are already employed. ممكن they don't have the qualification. ممكن تكون labor force in the country is not enough. That's on the short run. طب on the long run, if the wages are increasing, maybe the government will be allowing more immigrants. Maybe the worker will be more occupationally mobile. يعني أخذ training and so on. فهيبقى more occupationally mobile. الكلام ده مفهوم ولا أنا بتكلم وخلاص؟
مفهوم بس.
يبقى period of time will mean that the worker is improving his occupational mobility, is improving his geographical mobility, or the government is مثلا allowing more immigrants. فهيبقى عندي on the long run هيبقى عندي greater elasticity of supply for laborers. طيب, last topic in this chapter is specialization. I guess you already know what is a specialized person. If you are specialized, then you are concentrating. But this is when people and workers and businesses or countries, they concentrate on the things that they are best at. You concentrate on producing the thing that you are best at. Whether you are a business or you are a worker or you are a country, you are concentrating on producing the thing that you are best at. So this is the meaning of specialization. Some people are specialized مثلا, and this is a specialized surgeon. He's doing heart surgeries only. But this is a specialization. This is his area of specialty, heart surgery. Another one, brain surgeon. Another one, whatever. مثلا eye surgeries, for example, and so on. These are different kinds of specialization. Division of labor is part of the specialization. If the workplace is divided, or if the tasks are divided, or if the work is divided into small tasks, and each worker is concentrating only on one task out of the whole production process, if the production process is split into tasks, one will be cutting the wood, one will be assembling the wood to make furniture, another one will be polishing the furniture, a third one will be delivering the product. This is a specialization in a furniture manufacturing. One cutting wood, one assembling furniture, the other one is polishing them, the other one is delivering, but this could be specialization in a furniture manufacturer. Each worker that is specializing in one activity Okay, then this is يعني we are dividing the work and each worker is specializing in one activity. يبقى this whole process is اسمه division of labor. يبقى division of labor is a specialization, but it's a term that has got to do with the specialization of labor. Workers specialize. Okay, they will concentrate on only one part out of the whole production process. Why do we want to have specialized workers? لأنه if you were specialized, you keep on doing this job over and over and over and over again, so you does less mistakes. The repetition makes better. You keep on repeating, this is your only work that you are doing, then by time you will be developing the skill and you will not have mistakes for lower cost for the business. A greater output as well for the business. A greater output could be there, so sales revenue and profits can increase. طيب, another thing is that the quality of the product will be better. ما هو أنت you are a professional in that. You keep on doing one thing, you are specialized in it, so you produce it better than others. The quality will be better than others. Okay? Productivity is increasing. Productivity معناها output is increasing, quality is improving, and accordingly the business will become more profitable. And workers can be very skillful, so their earning potentials will increase. A skilled worker, a specialized worker will earn more than an unspecialized worker. He will be having high demand on his services. يبقى, for example, go and ask the doctors that you know. Is a general practitioner earning more than a heart surgeon, ولا the heart surgeon is earning more? A general practitioner يعني he doesn't have an area of specialty. He's just practicing medicine كده generally speaking. فهنا if you're practicing medicine generally speaking, then in this situation you're not specialized, you will be earning less than a specialized person like a heart surgeon. A heart surgeon is more trusted by people, is more demanded. He will thus get a greater wage than the other one. Okay? The business can save time because workers are specialized. Then in this situation, they don't have to move from one work bench to another. And you are working on one bench, but polishing the wood all day long. You don't move to another workbench to produce the product. But the one that is doing on the assembly line, they are working on an assembly line. One that is assembling the wood, okay, one that is mixing the wood together and combining it, another one that is polishing it. كل واحد is working on his workstation. In his workstation, he doesn't have to move from one workstation to another. So time is not wasted due to workers not having to move from one workbench to the other. So a greater output can be produced and greater sales revenue and profits for the business. خلاص؟ بس specialization كمان ليها disadvantages. خلاص, what are the disadvantages بقى؟ إن you're doing a repetitive and boring job. You're repeating the same job over and over again. فهنا the job becomes boring, repetitive, and accordingly the workers will start to make mistakes. Thus the inefficiency of the business will increase. The business will become inefficient. Mistakes will take place and the business will incur a greater cost, a higher average cost. Type. Workers may be alienated. ما هو أنا I am working in my workbench only. I don't socialize with others. فهنا I will be demotivated. يبقى I am specialized. I am doing my task only. I am repeating it over and over again. So in this situation, I will be having, I will not be able to socialize. I will not be able to meet my social needs. فهنا I will be demotivated. Production process may be over specialized. Okay, over specialized يعني if one worker is absent, there is no one that is trained to do his tasks, so the production will be stopped. So this is a problem. One worker is absent, the whole production process will have to stop. So this is a problem. Workers may become de-skilled. You are only capable of doing what? You are only capable of polishing wood. So what happens if the technique of production is changing and people, they don't want polished wood? Or the taste of people change, they don't want polished wood. They want it natural, not to be polished. Okay, or they are not using furniture at all. They are not using wooden furniture. They are using plastic furniture. You are having one, خلينا في plastic furniture. You're not using wooden furniture, you're using plastic furniture. A change of taste. طب ما هو أنا I am specialized in the production of furniture, wooden furniture. فهنا in this situation I am going to be de-skilled. يعني I will not be able to switch to produce the other types of furniture that is required by people. I am only specialized in one type. Demand on that type decreased, so I will not be able to do the other things. So I will lose my job if the demand decreased. Demand decreased, so I will probably lose my job. Business will switch to produce the other product which I cannot produce, then I will lose my job and I will stay at my home for a long period of time because I don't have the skills that is needed by the new needed for the new changes in the market. Boredom, اتفقنا people will be bored لأنهم they are doing what they are doing the same job over and over again. People when they are bored they will be absent. Okay, they may take days off because they are absent, because they are tired, because and so on. Then output will be lost for some time. Demand for worker services may fall, and if they are trained or practiced in only one job, they may encounter problem getting another one. يبقى أنا هاخد دي وأحطها مع دي skilled. ما هو my skills are suited only to one product, to one kind of production. طب demand on that thing decreased, then in this situation, no one would want to employ me in their business. Even if I get trained, I may not be good enough. I may not improve my skills and I will not be capable of producing an alternative product. Boring as well, and one concentrating on one job is boring as well and may not make the full use of a person's talent. You may be talented, but you lose that talent by time. Other talents that you have, you lose them by time because you are only concentrating on one job, which is برضو demotivating to the employees. يبقى هنا benefits of division of labor will much depend. إذا كنا we are capable of benefiting from a lower average cost and benefiting from a greater output and greater sales revenue and profits, and we can tackle the disadvantages of specialization. Okay? يبقى the disadvantages, for example, instead of having people concentrating on doing specialization mainly, خليهم يعملوا job rotation. So this boredom will change. يبقى whether the economy can benefit from specialization or not will much depend on whether they can tackle the drawbacks of specialization or not. One way of tackling the drawbacks is إن احنا نعمل job rotation, so the worker is not only specialized in one area, he is specialized in one area, however he's trained in other areas so that he can, for example, replace an absent worker. Or he will not be bored. One of the disadvantages إن أنا هكون bored, so he will be less bored, so he will be doing less mistakes. And efficiency may increase. Questions? Yeah, Shabab, do you have questions?
No, miss, I don't.
And is it clear?
Yes, miss, it is clear.
Is it clear for all ولا عمر عادل بس؟ Minna, questions?
It's clear.
عمر, Walid and Royan.
It's clear.
اوكي يلا في مش كلكم عملوا last homework. في بعضكم 3 منكم بس عملوا الهومورك, the rest did not do. I want you to complete the very last homework, okay, because I'll be discussing it next time. Chapter 16 till 18 homework, I want you to do it. If you skipped some of the questions, شايفة برضو بعض الناس حالينه and you did not do it complete. If you skipped some questions, continue and upload. Okay, because the coming session, I'll be discussing 16 till 18 homework. Clear? If you still did not do the multiple choice questions that I assigned, please do them as well. يلا يا شباب, take care. I am expecting you to be studying up to date لحد chapter 18. يلا, take care يا شباب.
Bye, miss.
Bye.
Bye, miss.
باي باي يا شباب.